Hey guys, another Wire Mod tutorial. In this one I'm going to be showing you how to keep players out of your vehicle. Don't you hate it when you go on, to a multiplayer game and you go to spawn in your vehicle and you're about to drive off, but someone else then gets in it and then drives off with it? You're like, oh, get out of my car! And you have to either delete it or smash the car around until they get out. Yeah, it's a pain. So this way, I'll make it so only you can get in. And if anyone else tries, they'll be ejected. It's really useful. Alright, so first thing we're going to do, obviously we need our vehicle. And then we're going to need a plate. And we'll just go down to plates here. I'll get a little small one because this is actually really quite simple. And I'm going to grab a detection, or wait, no. Forget what it is. Oh, vehicle control. Forgot what it was for a second. And pod controller. Not a vehicle controller. A lot of people don't understand the difference between these two. And the difference is the vehicle controller controls the vehicle's movement. So like I could actually completely remote control this vehicle just by a vehicle controller. And I've done that in another tutorial, showing you how that works. A pod controller is different. Mainly a pod controller is just used to get the information of the player in that pod and what they're doing to then use for other information. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and place that there, and I'm going to link it by right-clicking. And you can tell that it's linked because that yellow line shows that it is linked to that vehicle. Okay, next thing we're going to get is... Actually, now I think about it, there's multiple ways we could do this. What way do we want to do it? Let's just see about doing it with a comparison way. Okay, so let's go to gates, and I think this outputs a entity, doesn't it? Oops, yes, it does. Okay, so yeah, this will work just fine. Gates, and we're gonna go to entity, and then we could do Steam ID, but that might confuse some people, so let's just go by name for the moment. Okay, we're going to place one of those, and then we're going to need string equal and a constant value set to our name. Okay, so you're going to just type in your name here. That's my name. I'll place it there. Okay. Then we're also going to need one other gate. I always forget what this is under. I think it's logic. No, it's not logic. Shoot. I always look like an idiot when I try to find this dumb thing, because I always forget what it's under. Negate? No. Yeah, it was the logic, not. Gosh. I am so smart. You guys don't even know. Anyway, so that should be all we need. What we're going to do is the entity gate that we got. We're going to go ahead and wire that to the driver entity. Okay? This entity would be the vehicle itself. This entity would be this prop. So we want the driver. Okay? We want whoever, the entity information of who's driving. Okay? And then we're going to do string A to the name, and string B to the constant value. Okay, so what that's doing is says if this string, in other words, if this player's name is the same as this string, then output 1. Okay? But we don't want to just use the 1 here, because if we wired what we're going to do here in a second to this, it would actually do the opposite of what we want. It would let anyone but you in. So we're going to negate that, or excuse me, invert that, or not. Gosh, there goes me not remembering which one it is again. Okay, so this right now is saying that this name, which it doesn't have a name right now, if you see it name pod controller equals blank, it's saying it's not the same as this, so it's giving a value of 0, and which this is now inverting to 1. So it's not the same, so it's going anyway. So the next step is wiring the eject to the invert. And what this should do, and now I'm thinking about it, I hope it works, is if I get in this, yep, it let me in. Everything's fine. But if someone else was to get in there, it would eject them. So let's simulate me being someone else by simply changing this constant value. And if we just do that, add a Q there, it'll obviously not be the same because my name's not Silverlighting Q. So if I try to get in, oh, it didn't work. Hold on, let me grab a debugger because I think I might have this backward. Oh, okay, so the problem here is it's already telling the pod controller to eject, so it doesn't update once I get in. It should be technically ejecting me, but the way a pod controller works is the information is already there, it's not updating. So we'll go ahead and let's see, what would be an easy way of doing this? We're going to make a simple gate system here that all it does is it pulses. It turns on, off, on, off, on, off. Okay? Really easy way of doing this is just grabbing a timer. Really easy way to understand it, I should say. And getting a comparison of greater than. And let's go back to our input output constant value, add another value. Let's just do 0.5. And we'll update this constant value with that. So we're going to have run. Run is just a timer's telling the timer just to run. It can be pretty much any positive value, and it'll start. And then we're going to set the timer's reset to the greater than. And the greater than's A to the timer, and B to the 0.5 of our constant value. So what this says, this greater than's trying to figure out, is A, this timer, greater than B of this constant value of 0.5. If so, then output 1. And if this reset is set to that output, then that timer resets. So this timer is resetting from, as it gets to 0.5, it resets back to 0 and counts back up again. It's just seconds. So if we look here, you see that the greater than is pulsing. Goes 1 every half second. Even though it looks like it takes longer than that. It should be less than that. Anyway, so if we do that in conjunction with this, it'll keep updating itself to be able to kick the player out. Because like I said, the problem we're having here is that this is just not updating at the right time for it to eject a player. So if we keep it updating, just keep updating it information-wise, then it should kick me out the second I get in, if I'm not the right person. The way we do that is we're going to go and grab another gate, arithmetic, multiply. And multiply is a simple way of saying if this and this are both positive numbers, so if they're both true in a way, then send the information along. It's a simple AND gate, basically. You can do AND gates, I guess, if you really wanted, through logic, if that's what you're used to, and all. But I just do multiply. Anyway, so we're going to wire the A to here, and B to there. I can't even see what's going on here. Anyway, and then eject to the multiply. So now, this is saying that my name is not Silverlighting Q, so if I try to get in there, the invert will say no. It'll basically, this will say that it is not the same number, or same name. So we're going to invert that, and then multiply it by the pulse timer here that we set up, and keep ejecting until that player's out. See that? Press D, kick me out. Pretty simple way. This is probably the more in-depth stuff I've done so far. If I lost you, let me know in the comments, and let me know where I lost you at, to try to maybe slow things down and keep things a little bit better. I could actually change the wire colors so you can see what I'm doing better, but hopefully I went slow enough to keep, so you can understand what's going on there. There are different other ways of doing this. You could just do it with a simple E2, but E2s are a little bit more complicated than that, as you have to learn a little bit of code. But that should be good. Let me think real quick if there might be just a quicker way of doing it before I end this. Because if there's a quicker way, it would be easier. Well, I mean, there is definitely a quicker way. Actually, I might as well just show that real quick. I'm just going to pull another plate. If you don't want this to have to, if you don't want to go through this headache, probably should have done this first. But, yeah, hindsight's 20/20. You can manually kick them out. And that's really easy. You could probably already guess what I'm going to do. I'm just going to set a button here and get another vehicle controller, or pod controller, excuse me. We'll wire that up and simply wire eject to that. Oh, hey, that's red. So if I get in, or, well, I need to disable this one. If I get in, if I was to hit that button that I set that to, it kicks me out. And so that keeps players out. If the player jumps in and you don't want him in there, you can just hit that button and it'll eject him. But, it's not as cool because this looks all fancy-pantsy and makes you look smart. And this works. But that it's not fancy-pantsy. So, anyway, hope you guys learned a little bit. I hope you can use that to your advantage and keep players out of your vehicles. See you later.